early 1900s, the world was standing at the edge of a mechanical revolution. Steam trains roared across countries, factories were humming with innovation, and amidst this industrial symphony, a quiet marvel emerged on four wheels, the Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower. It wasn't just a car, it was the birth of a legend. This was the car that set the standard. The car that introduced the world to a new definition of quality and refinement. When Henry Royce, an engineer obsessed with perfection, partnered with Charles Rolls, an aristocrat and visionary. Their very first creation was the 10 horsepower, a symbol of precision, elegance, and silent power. Only 16 of these masterpieces were ever made between 1904 and 1906. Today, only a few still exist, preserved like priceless works of art, visually. The Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower was a work of elegant simplicity. Its exterior reflected the spirit of the Edwardian era, blending form with function. The car featured a tall and upright front, with a brass radiator that gleamed like gold in the sunlight. Unlike modern aerodynamic curves, the body of the 10 horsepower was more upright and boxy carriage-inspired because automobiles were still transitioning from horse-drawn design language. The wheels were large, wooden-spoked, and finished in smooth varnish. The fenders stretched like curved wings over the wheels, and every metallic element, from the lamps to the trim, was hand-polished. This wasn't just metal and wood. This was sculpture. Each 10 horsepower was custom-built, often tailored to the tastes of its wealthy owners. Some models had open tops, others came with partial roofs, and all of them were assembled with meticulous care. There were no assembly lines, no automation, just human hands, skill, and pride. Climbing into the interior was like stepping into a private drawing room. The cabin was minimalistic by today's standards, but richly crafted. The seats were upholstered in thick, durable leather that softened. With age, the dashboard was made of beautifully stained wood. No plastic, no buttons, only the essentials. Simple levers controlled ignition and timing. Gauges were analog and elegant, reading fuel levels and oil pressure like a fine pocket watch. Everything had a purpose. Everything had class. Unlike the modern Rolls-Royces with countless comfort features, the 10 horsepower was a different kind of luxury. It didn't pamper you with electronics. It gave you the honor of driving something. Mechanical, alive, and beautifully made. Driving it wasn't just transportation. It was an experience, a connection between man and machine. Under the bonnet lay the heart of the 10 horsepower, a 1.8-liter, two-cylinder engine that produced exactly 10 horsepower. Now, by today's standards, 10 horsepower might sound laughably small, but in 1904 it was quite an achievement. The car could comfortably cruise at around 30 miles per hour and reach a maximum of nearly 39 miles per hour on a good road. But speed was never the focus. What amazed early drivers and onlookers alike was how quiet the engine was. While most cars at the time were noisy and shaky, the Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower was smooth and almost silent. That silent performance is what gave birth to Rolls-Royce's legendary slogan, "The best car in the world." Not the fastest, not the flashiest, but the best in terms of build, comfort, and refinement. The 10 HP's engine ran with a level of balance and quietness that was unheard of at the time. Many said you could hardly tell if the engine was running. The car featured a 3-speed manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, and semi-elliptic leaf spring suspension. There were no hydraulic brakes, only mechanical, and driving required real skill. But once in motion, it glided like a boat on a still lake. The ride comfort was, for the time, revolutionary. It was the beginning of the magic carpet ride feeling that Rolls-Royce would later become famous for. Now, let's talk value. Originally, the Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower was priced at £395, an expensive amount in 1904, equivalent to well over £50,000 today. But of course, the real value has multiplied beyond numbers. At auctions, surviving models of the 10 horsepower have been sold for prices ranging from £3 million to £6 million, depending on condition and originality. And that's not just because of rarity, it's because the 10 horsepower represents the purest form of the Rolls-Royce vision. A machine built not for the masses, but for those who demanded the finest, to collectors and enthusiasts. Owning a Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower is like holding the very first page of automotive history, the chapter where excellence began. It's the DNA of every Rolls-Royce that came after, from the Phantom to the Ghost to the Electric Spectre. The Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower is more than 100 years old now, but it still carries the same aura. When you see one parked, silent and proud, you're not just looking at a car, you're looking at a masterpiece. The kind of machine that reminds us that luxury is not just about comfort or technology, it's about timeless craftsmanship, integrity in design, and an uncompromising pursuit of perfection. This isn't just a review. This is a tribute to the beginning of something great. To the engineers who believed in silence over speed, craftsmanship over shortcuts, and elegance over extravagance, the Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower was the first of its kind, and in many ways, nothing has ever truly matched its spirit again.